بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Alhamdulillah, we begin by praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for this opportunity to continue in our lesson in Umdatusaalik, and we are still in the chapter of menses, chapter any of hayd. And last week we entered into the words of Al-Imam Bajuri in his Hashia on Fathul Karib regarding the types of istihada. So I mentioned that the book Umdatusaalik is a concise any book. It doesn't explain the types any of istihada. So that is why we went into the Hashia of Al-Imam Al-Bajuri, which is extensive in explaining the rulings any of istihada. So today, and inshallah ta'ala, before we continue, we will do some revision based on the poster that I gave on the types of istihada. So basically last week we covered four of it. So this is what we are going to do. We just have a revision, and then inshallah ta'ala we will continue from there. Okay. So number one, we have mubtadi'a mumayyiza. This is the first type. So I mentioned that mubtadi'a meaning yani a woman first time having menses, and mumayyiza, she is able to distinguish the color of the blood. So for example, if she sees 10 days of black and 10 days of red, so we say that the 10 days of black is menses, the rest is istihada. She is able to differentiate. And I also mentioned that istihada is when a woman saw blood more than 15 days. If a woman saw blood less than 15 days, we consider all of it to be haid, because the maximum number of days for menses is 15 days. So if a woman saw blood for 3 days of black, 6 days of red, 3 days of yellow, we consider all of it to be menses, because everything is under 15 days. So when do we look at the loss of istihada? We look at the loss of istihada if the blood exceeds 15 days. The maximum number of days for menses. So if a woman in the first time and she is able to distinguish the blood, so we say that the strong blood is menses, the weaker blood is istihada. We spoke about the 4 conditions. Condition in number 1 does not fall below the minimum of hayd, because if it falls the minimum of menses, then it is not any menses, and it cannot exceed the maximum of hayd. This is with regard to the strong blood. So if it exceeds the minimum maximum of hayd, we do not take into consideration the distinguishment. Number 3, the condition in number 3 is the weak blood is not less than the minimum period of purity. And this number 3 I mentioned, if it is in between any 2 strong blood, then this condition is taken into consideration. I give an example, if a woman saw black for 10 days, and then red for 10 days, and black for 10 days. So we do not take this consideration, because since the weaker blood is less than 15 days, so we do not say that the first 10 days is menses, because it does not fulfill the condition number 3. The weaker blood in between 2 strong blood is lesser than 15 days. So we do not consider her to be mumayyiza. We consider her to be ghayr mumayyiza. Number 4, the bleeding occurs consecutively for at least 15 days. So there must be strong blood and red blood. So it cannot be strong, red, strong, weak, strong, weak. So this is we do not any consider her to be mumayyiza. If we do not consider her to be mumayyiza, then she falls any under the second category. What is any the second category? The second any category is mubtadi'a ghayr mumayyiza. Yani again mubtadi'a yani is a beginner, first time any having menses, and ghayr mumayyiza, she's not able any to distinguish the color any of the color of the blood. So for example, any she saw red any for 20 days and first time. So this is mubtada'a, this is a mubtada'a ghayr mumayyiza. So if she cannot differentiate and she is any first timer, then we say that her menstruation is 1 day and 1 night. Her menstruation any is 1 day and 1 night. This is any the minimum any hayd. The rest any is pure. So the rest any is istihada. The rest any is istihada. So this is the second any situation. Then any we mention any about the third. The third any is mubtada'a, mu'tada mumayyiza. Mu'tada any is a woman that has experienced any menses. It's not any first time any have been menses, and mumayyiza, she is able any to distinguish between the color any of the blood. So if there is any a clash any between her habit and the color any of the blood, we take into consideration the color any of the blood because this is stronger than her habit. This is where any it is mentioned here, tamyiz takes precedence over adah. Yani tamyiz here is any the characteristics any of the blood. This is given precedence any over her habit, adah. So for example, if she says that every month my menses any 6 days, and then 1 month and it comes out any 20 days, 10 days any black and 10 days red. So she said that every month any 6 days. But now any the darker blood any is 10 days. The weaker blood any is 10 days. First 10 days any is the darker blood. So we say the first 10 days is menses. We do not any take into consideration any her habit any which is 6 days. So this is what I meant any when there is a clash between habit any and tamyiz. Tamyiz here is distinguishment, the color. So the example the author gave any is 5 days. Her habit and is 5 days any from the beginning of the month. She then sees any 10 days of strong blood from the beginning. The weak blood any for the rest. Menstruation is 10 days based on tamyiz. Now, if they do not conflict, both are applied together. Yani if her habit any is 5 days and the darker any color of the blood is also 5 days, then it is 5 days. Aywa. Then we spoke any about the fourth case. The fourth case any is mu'tada ghayr mumayyiza. Mu'tada, a woman any who has menses any last time. So for example, and she said that my menses any is 5 days. Normally my menses any is 5 days. Then come any blood any for 20 days. Same color. So we say she go back any to her habit. Since any the ada any is 5 days, then 5 days any is considered to be the menses. The rest any is considered to be istihada. So this is basically what we mentioned any in our last lesson. So now any we will enter into the fifth case. So this is going any to be the start any of our lesson today. So now any we have understood mubtada'a mumayyiza, mubtada'a ghayr mumayyiza, mu'tada mumayyiza, mu'tada ghayr mumayyiza. So basically we have any the idea, we differentiate any between mubtada'a and mu'tada. Mubtada'a any is a beginner, mu'tada is not a beginner. Mumayyiza is able any to distinguish color of the blood. Ghayr mumayyiza is not able any to distinguish the color any of the color of the blood. So we say that if she's able to distinguish the color of the blood, we rule her menses based any on the stronger color of the blood, even though it clash any with her habit. But if she is not able any to distinguish, then we go back any to the habit. If she is a beginner, we say her menses is only 24, the first any 24 hours. The rest any is considered to be istihada. So now any we go on any to the fifth case. So before any I start, any I would just like to say our lesson any today any requires any a bit more attention. So many of these things any some of you any might argue that it doesn't really any occur much any in women, but it can any occur, and it is important that we study so that we have a better understanding about the ruling of menses and istihada. So now when we look at the fifth case, the author mentioned mu'tada ghayr mumayyiza nasiya. So we have mu'tada, a woman who used to have any menses, ghayr mumayyiza, she cannot differentiate the color of the blood, and there is an addition. The addition is that nasiya al-qadar, she forgets the number of days, and she forget when in the month the menses occurs. So we have the number of days, and we have the time of occurrence. Both she forget. She forget the qadr, that is the number of days, and also she forget the time when does the menses occur. So before we go on, just need to imagine we have a woman who saw blood for 20 days. Ghayr mumayyiza. She is not able to distinguish. She's not able to distinguish color of the blood. Then we ask her that normally how many days do you have menses? She said, I forgot. And then we ask her, your menses usually occur which part of the month? Beginning of the month, middle of the month, or the ending of the month? She said, I forgot. So now when you have the situation of a woman who said that she used to have menses, but she forgot everything. So our teacher mentioned this can be possible for a woman who has, for example, 20 years ago she has menses. After 20 years, for 20 years, no, she does not see any blood. After 20 years, the blood came again. So she forgot because it has been a long time. She forgot the number of days, and she forgot when it occurs. Another possibility she might enter into a coma, for example, and she lost any memory. And then when the menses came, she forgot everything. She does not know how many days the menses is, and she does not know at which part of the month the menses comes. So number 5, our scholars gave this term as mutahayyira. Mutahayyira is a woman who is in confusion, from hayran. So Imam Bajuri mentioned either we can say mutahayyira, ismul fa'il, or mutahayyira. Both can. As a slight difference, when you say mutahayyira, hayyaratil faqih, she makes the faqih, the scholar, confused. Or mutahayyara, she is confused by the scholar. So either it is mutahayyira or mutahayyira, but usually we say mutahayyira. So can you go back that one? I need that one. So easier for me. I need to look at my phone. So we look at the screen. So what do we see? She has previously experienced menstruation and purity, but has forgotten both the duration and timing. Duration and the end, the qadr and waqt, duration and the timing of a habit. So I hope this is clear, inshallah. So duration any meaning what? How many days any menses? Timing any is which part any of the month. So both any she forgot. So what do we tell her? We say treated as menstruating in some rulings as a precaution. Because every time may be menstruation. So now when we tell her that there is a possibility that every of this time that you saw blood, there are two possibilities. That you are in a state of menses, or you are not in a state of menses. So it is wajib for her to perform the 5 times daily prayers. Wajib for her to fast in the month of Ramadan. So she takes the ruling of a woman any who is not any having menses with regards any to the obligations. But at the same time also we regard her yani as a woman who is having menses with regard any to the prohibitions any of menses, like sexual relations and reciting Quran any outside of prayer. It is not any permissible for the husband any to have sexual intercourse. Why? Because there is a possibility that she is having menses. It is not any permissible any for her to recite any the Quran any outside any of the prayers. Because prayer is any based on the rule. Outside the prayers any it is not permissible. Why? Because there is a possibility that she is having menses. But then any why do we tell her any to perform any of the prayers? Because there is a possibility that this is not menses. So she is any living any in a state where there is a possibility she is having any menses. There is a possibility at the same time there is no menses. So with regard any to the obligations any she has to perform, and at the same time she has to refrain any from the prohibitions any of menses. And she has any to bathe for every prayer, because there is a possibility that the menses any stop before that prayer. So she has any to perform any the janaba bath, the bathing any for the menses. So when she wants any to pray the Zohar prayers, she bathe any for the Zohar prayers, any Raful Hadas al Akbar. She bathe the janaba bath, because there is a possibility that the menses any has stopped. So she perform any her bath and she performs any Zohar prayers. Likewise, any regard any to the Asr prayers, Maghrib prayers, Isha prayers, and the Fajr prayers. So this one any we meant that in every situation, she is regarded any as a woman any who is having menses, and at the same time also she is in purity because of the possibility. So she has any to perform the obligations of fasting and prayers, and she has any to bathe the obligatory bath any for every prayer, and at the same time also she must refrain any from the prohibitions any of menses. So this is what the second one explained. Treated any as pure in other rulings, prayer, fasting, as a precaution, because every time may be purity. So every time may be menstruation, every time any may be purity. She must perform ghusl for every obligatory prayer when it's time any arrives, in case the bleeding has stopped. That's what I mentioned. But if she knows the bleeding stopped at a certain time, sunset, she only remember any one thing. She said that I remember that my bleeding always stopped, yani my menses stopped before Maghrib. That is the time any my menses and stopped. So she remembered. The only thing any she remembered. Then khalas any we say that every day before Maghrib she has to bathe the obligatory bath. So there is no need any for her to bathe any for every fard any prayer. Because now any she remembered when the bleeding and it stops yani for her menses in the past. So she delays any ghusl until that time and performs any wudu for other prayers. So she bathe any for Maghrib prayers. But for Isha, Zohar, Asr, and Fajr, she only performs any the wudu. So this is any pertaining any to prayers. Prayers any straightforward. Now the headache any is when comes any to fasting. So you have to bear with me. Some of you any might have questions any on this. So the example yani is a woman yani saw blood any for every day for 30 days any Ramadan. A woman any saw blood any for 30 days any Ramadan. And she is in this category. Mu'tada ghayr mumayyiza. The blood any is one color. Black any all the way from the beginning any till the end. And she forgot her habit. She forgot the duration. She forgot the number of days of her menses. That's what we mentioned. So for prayers, any we say she has to perform any for everyday prayers. She has to perform the prayers because of the possibility that every instance any can be menses, and every instance any is purity. So she has to perform any her prayers and fasting and refrain any from prohibitions any of menses. What about any fasting any in the month of Ramadan? So we say that she has need to fast every day for Ramadan. Every day in the month of Ramadan, she has need to fast. And then she has to fast any one more month. She has to fast any 2 months. Why any month she fast any 2 months? Okay, now this is any mathematics. Huh? So now we ask any the question, what is the maximum number any of menses? Number of days. Maximum any number of days any is 15 days. So now this woman, she saw blood any for 30 days, any 30 days in Ramadan, bleeding. So we say that she has any to fast every day. And we take 15 days of what any she fasted as valid. Why 15 days? Because the maximum number yani of days any for menses is 15 days. So if she fasts any for 30 days, Ramadan, how many days is considered any to be valid? So we say that her menses any is 15 days. It cannot be more than 15 days. So we minus 30, we minus any 15. So we assume 15 days to be the menses. And if you assume any 15 days any to be the menses, then 15 days any is not considered to be menses. So 15 days of fasting is valid. So the only days any that is valid is 15 days. That is why she has to fast another month. Because if she fasts any another month, so we take 15 days any from the second month as valid. We take 15 days any the second month any as valid. So it means any she has covered 1 month any of fasting. Because Ramadan any is 1 month. But because any she is any in the state any of istihada, mutahayyira, so 15 days any confirm any not valid. So we say this is any the highest any possibility any of menses. So it is wajib any for her to fast every day because there is a possibility that every day is not menses. There is a possibility. And at the same time, there is a possibility that that day any is part any of menses. So that is why we say what is valid any for the month any of fasting is only 15 days. Because menses any cannot be more than 15 days. So the second month any is regarded any to be the qada, the making up any for the 15 days any then she fasts, but it is not considered to be valid any because of the possibility any of menses. So she has any to fast 2 months, then any the author any mention. Then she fasts any 1 full month, then 2 days any remain obligatory. I think there is a mistake here. Below any is mentioned, it is possible menstruation begin on the first day and lasted in the maximum. She validity become 14 days from each of the 2 months, 28 days, leaving any 2 days. Okay, that is not any the mistake. The author is saying she has any to fast any 1 month. How do she fast any 1 month? So she has any to divide any that month in 2 months. So 15, 15. But the problem is when she fasts any the first month, she can only get any 14 because the day 15 any falls any on the 16th. So now any I need to draw. So bear with me, yeah. How do I? Yeah, I think this one is okay. Okay, so this is in the calendar. So now any woman saw blood daily, any for 1 month. So this is the month of Ramadan, huh? This is the month of Ramadan. So she saw blood any from day 1 all the way to day 30. Right? Every month, yani, the blood any is consistent. But the problem is she does not remember her habit nor the timing. So this is mutahayyira. So we say she has to fast 2 months to cover 1 month. So you have to pay attention to this. Yani she has to fast any how many months? She has to fast any 2 months. Why must she fast any 2 months? Because for the month of any of Ramadan, the first month, only half any of the month is valid. Because the other half of the month, and we assume it to be menses. So the second month, any is considered to be the makeup any of the first month. So now, any imagine from day 1. For example, any if the menses any starts any in day 1. So day 1, the menses any begin. This is a possibility, yeah. Day 1 any the menses any begin all the way. So if you count 15 days any from day 1, what you will get? If you count 15 days any from day 1, the menses any will stop on day 16. So we do not count day 16. Afwan. The menses stop at day 16. Okay. So we do not count any day 16 to be the day of purity. We start any from 17. So when you minus 30, 17, how much any you get? You get 14 days. And if you count 17 any to 30, you will get any 14 days. So meaning 14 days is valid for the first month. Right? Then she fasts the second month. She fasts any the second month. Same thing. Second month also any we get. If you say any the menses any begins in day 1. So it will stop any at La ilaha illallah. It will start any at day 14. Same thing. This thing is moving. Okay. So day 1, the second month, menses any start day 1 all the way any until 16. Stops any at 16. Because when you count any 15 days any from day 1, it will reach any day 16. So days any day 16 of fasting and it's not counted. So we count any from day 17. So we get another 14 days. So 14 plus 14. How much any we get? We get 28. But Ramadan is 30 days. So she must make up another 2 days. Clear inshallah? So she fasts 2 months. She need any to fast any 2 months and 2 days. So 14 days and if she got any from the first month, 14 days any from the second month. And we understood any why 14 days, not 15 days. Huh? So we get 28 days. Ramadan any cannot be 28 days. So one full month in Islam any is 30 days. So she has any to make up for another 2 days. She has any to make up any for another 2 days. But the question is, how does she make up any for another 2 days? before we get into that, I hope it is clear earlier how I got 28 days. I hope it is clear, inshallah ta'ala. So now I will explain how she make up for the 2 days. So now, earlier we mentioned the menses begins on the first day. So all the way, all this is menses. All this is menses. All the way until day 16. So this is one possibility. So if we say that the menses begins on the first day, then day 17 is considered to be pure. Likewise, day 18. Likewise, day 19. So this, if we assume that the menses begins on the first day of the month. On the first day of the month. What if the menses begin on the second day of the month? If the menses begin on the second day of the month, when does the blood stops? The blood stops on the 17th. So 17 is considered to be part of the menses. So day 18 is considered to be, day 18 is considered to be pure. The first day is also considered to be pure, right? Because now we take 15 days from where? We take 15 days from the second day. So if you take the 15 days from the second day, meaning day 1 is considered to be pure. So the pure days is day 1, then day 18, 19, 20, and so on. If we say that the menses begins on the third day, so day 1 and day 2 is considered to be pure. When does the blood will stop? The blood will stop on day 19. On day 18. The blood stops at day 18. So all this is considered to be menses. If the blood begins on day 3. So we consider the first day and the second day to be pure. If the blood begins on the 4th day, then it will stop at day 19. So what she has to do? She has to fast day 1, 2, and 3 to cover 1 day. Because if the possibility is that the menses begins on the second day, then her fasting of the first day covers that day. If the menses begins on the third day, then her fasting on the first and the second is valid. But it is confirmed that 1 day is valid. How do we get 1 day? If she fasts day 1, day 2, and day 3. Because of the possibility that the menses might begin in day 2, and the possibility that the menses begins in day 3 or the menses begins in day 4. So because of this possibility, then day 1, day 2, day 3 is considered to be the pure days. So if she fasts these 3 days, then she can get at least 1 day of fasting that is valid. So this is the first thing. The second part is that she fasts day 17. She fasts day 17, day 18, and day 19. Because if the menses begins on the second, that's what we mentioned. then 18 and 19 is considered to be pure. If the menses begins any on the third day, if the menses any begins any on the third day, then day 18 any is considered any to be part any of the menses. Day 19 any is considered to be pure. So she fasts any the first, second, and the third, and she fasts any 17, 18, and 19. This is what any the author any will mention. Now any we go back any to the poster again. So now any we get again. So it is mentioned here fasting in Ramadan. She fasts 1 full month. Yani what any the author is trying any to say any is that it is compulsory upon her any to fast the whole month of Ramadan. But the problem is she does not know any when is the menses. So we take into consideration 15 days is valid. Because 15 days any menses, 15 days not menses. But because of the intertwine, we take 14 days. We cannot take 15 days. That's what I mentioned. Then 2 days remain obligatory because of the intertwine. It is possible menstruation begin on the first day and lasted maximum 15 days ending on the 16th. Thus, she can validly count 14 days from each of the 2 months. 28 days, leaving 2 days. So it's clear, inshallah. That's what I mentioned. Then she fasts 3 days in the beginning, any first, second, third, and 3 days at the end of 18 days. At the end any of 18 days. Why? Because of the 2 days. So the first 3 days any in the beginning any of the month covers any 1 day. And the end any of the 18 days any cover any 1 day. So I hope it is clear, inshallah. So this is any pertaining any to mutahayyira. So now when we go on any to the 6th case. The 6th case is zakira lil'ada qadran la waqtan. Yani it is the same. Mu'tada ghayr mumayyiza. Yani she has any menses in the past. And she is not able to distinguish any the color any of the blood. But she is able any to remember the number of days any that she has any menses. But forgets the timing. So the author any gave any example. My menstruation used to be 5 days. So she remember that her menstruation any is 5 days. So this is different any than number 5. Number 5 cannot remember anything. Number 5 cannot remember number of days, nor he can remember the timing. But here she can remember number of days. She said that my menses any is 5 days. My menses any is 5 days. But I do not know when. Then she said, I know for certain that I was pure on the first day. She said that usually the first day any of the month, any I am clean, I'm pure. So we say the first day is pure with certainty. So now when we look any at the first half of the month, the first 10 days. So she said that the first day any is pure. So now when we go back into the calendar. Okay. So she said that the first day any is considered to be pure. Okay. Okay, now, ladies can. So this is any pure. So now we assume that the menses any begins any on the second day. If the menses any begin any on the second day, this is considered any to be 1, first day menses, 2, 3, 4, 5. So now when we consider day 2 to day 6 as menses. Day 2 any to day 6. But there is also a possibility if the menses begin any on the third day. If the menses any begins any on the third day, it will stop any at day 7. If the menses any begins any on the fourth day, it stops any at day 8. If the menses any begin any on day 5, then it will stop any on day 9. If the menses any begins any on day 6, then it stops any at day 10. So basically, from day 2 to day 5, this is possibility of menses and not having menses. But with regard to day 6, this is confirm any menses. Because if you look at any possibility, day 6 any falls any under menses. But with regard to day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5 of the month, this is under 2 possibilities of menses and purity. Then we have day 7 until any day 10. So this is the possibility of menses stops. Because there is a possibility the menses stops at day 7 or day 8 or day 9 or day 10. So here we say the possibility of the menses stopping. Here we say the possibility of the menses and purity. Because she said that her menses for 5 days. So again, if her menses begins on day 2, that's what I mentioned, and it stops at day 6. If the menses begins on day 3, it stops at day 7, like that. So because of this possibility. So how do we solve this thing? We say day 2 to day 5. This is the same as situation number 5. She has to perform the prayers, and at the same time she has to observe the prohibitions of menses, because of the possibility of menses and istihada. Likewise, from day 7 all the way up to day 10. So only 2 days is confirmed. The first day confirm pure. The 6th day confirm menses. The rest is considered to be having the possibility of menstruation and purity. So now when we look at the chart. So first day pure with certainty, the 2nd and the 5th possible menstruation or purity. But not cessation of bleeding. They're stopping of the bleeding. So we say this is the possibility of menses. The 6th day menstruation with certainty. Why any certainty? Because in all situations, it falls under menses. That is why we say the 6th day is menses with certainty. Whereas the 7th to the 10th, possible menstruation, purity or cessation. or stoppage any of the blood. Last 20 days pure with certainty. So how any we solve this situation? We say certain periods have their rulings. In the uncertain periods, she is treated as case number 5. So she is treated as case number 5, any from the 2nd to the 5th day, and from the 7th any to the 10th. So she has any to perform her prayers and the fasting, and likewise any we say there is a possibility any of purity. Then for the 6th day any is considered to be menstruation. So ghusl is only required any if cessation and your bleeding any is possible. This is exactly any what we mentioned any as number 5. And if you say that usually my blood any stops any at the time of Maghrib or the time of Zuhur, then she only bathe any at those timings. If she say that I remember that my blood any stops any before Maghrib, so every day before Maghrib any from day number 2 to day number 5, she has any to bathe before Maghrib, and she takes any wudu any for the rest any of the prayers, and likewise any from the day 7th any to the 10th, because she is regarded any as having menses any or istihada. So this is any number 6. Now we go to number 7. Number 7 any is opposite. Zakira lil ada waqtan la qadran. Yani remembers any timing, not duration. The example any is that a woman and he says, my menstruation used to begin at the beginning any of the month, but I do not know how many days it lasted. So this is different in number 6. Number 6 and she remembered number of days, but she does not remember the timing. Now any she remembered the timing but not the number of days. So the menses any is 1 day and 1 night. The menses any is considered to be 1 day any and 1 night. The second half any pure with certainty. In between them possible any menstruation, purity or cessation. So now any we have any 30 days. So since any menses any cannot be more than 15 days. But now any the problem is she does not any remember how many days any she used any to have menses. And she is not able to distinguish the color of the blood. She is ghayr mumayyiza. So since any she cannot remember how many days of menses any she used any to have, we cannot any consider her any to be, we cannot any go back any to her norm because we do not know. So we take any the minimum day any for menses. So we say this is based on certainty, 1 day any and 1 night. The rest any is possibility. Yani from the 2nd day all the way any to the half any of the month. There is this any possibility of menses and purity. So the ruling any goes back to number 5. So from day 2 to day 15, she is regarded any as case any number 5. She has any to perform any her prayers, and she has any to perform any the bathing any for every prayers, and likewise any regard any to Ramadan as what any we mentioned any in case any number 5. So by this any we have covered any the seven any cases. So alhamdulillah yani we have completed any about any istihada. So now any I will just any read quickly the last part any of Umdah in this chapter of menses, where the author yani mentioned on istihada, yani a woman any having istihada, what must any she do? So we go back any to our book any Umdatusaalik. The author mentioned وَتَغْسِلُ الْمُسْتَحَاضَةُ فَرْجَهَا. So now any a woman any mustahada having any bleeding and not menses, yani this is a bleeding any chronic vaginal discharge. So we say that she has to perform any prayers. Before she perform any the prayers, she must any wash her private parts. Yani there is blood any on the private parts, but she has any to perform any prayers. So she has any to wash any the private parts. وَتَشُدُّهُ وَتَعْصِبُهُ ثُمَّ تَتَوَضَّأُ. she has any to place something any on the private part, so that any the blood any doesn't flow out. And then any she has any to put any something any to tighten it. So there is hashwu and there is isaba. Isaba yani is by putting any something any to secure. Once any she does that, immediately she needs to take the wudu. So there must be mu'ala, there must be immediate. ولا تؤخرها بعد الطهارة إلا للاشتغال بأسباب الصلاة. So she cannot delay between this type of purification and the prayers. So once she did this, immediately she must perform any the prayers. Unless if there are certain any situation where she waiting for the jama'ah, for example, she's in the masjid, she wants to pray, but the imam has not prayed yet, she can wait, no issue. Likewise, listening to the adhan, or what you call it, putting on any clothes for satu awra, waiting for the jama'ah, is what the author mentioned here. Illa lil ishtighali bi asbab as-salah. Unless if the reason is to wait for prayers. He gave an example, ka satri awratin, yani she wants to cover her awra by wearing the garment. Wa adhan, waiting for the adhan to finish. Wa intizari jama'atin, yani waiting for the jama'ah. She pray in the masjid, for example. Fa in akharat li ghayri dhalika ista'nafat at-tahara. If she waits and she delay without any reason, she has to do it all over again. And she has to wash her private parts, and then she put on something so that the blood doesn't flow, and then tighten it, take the wudu immediately, and then perform the prayers immediately. وَيَجِبُ غَسْلُ الْفَرْجِ وَتَعْصِيبُهُ. So it is compulsory to wash the private parts and to place something on the private parts and to tighten it. وَالْوُضُوءُ لِكُلِّ فَرِيضَةٍ. And it is wajib that she takes ablution for every prayer. So this is like tayammum. She cannot keep her wudu. So for every prayer she has to do this actions. Washing any of the private parts, then placing something to secure it, and then immediately take the ablution and performs the prayer immediately. So she do this for every prayer. وَمَنْ بِهِ سَلَسِ الْبَوْلِ كَالْمُسْتَحَاضَةِ فِيمَا تَقَدَّمَ. Likewise, with regard to urinal incontinence, yani it is the same sequence. A person has to wash the private parts, and then put on something to cover, and then he takes the ablution and performs the prayer. So clear inshallah ta'ala. So now we take on any questions. Alhamdulillah, we have completed the chapter of menses. In our next lessons, we continue from in the new chapter inshallah ta'ala. Question number 1, can you explain again the case in case the case number, the last bullet point, the part that is written from, if a minimum period of purity intervenes, each is considered separate menstruation, one by habit, one by tamiz. So now a woman is having menses. A woman saw blood for example for more than 15 days. If she cannot distinguish the color of the blood, so we say that she go back to her habit. So we ask her how many days and usually you have menses. She said that 5 days. So we say 5 days and is your menses, the rest is istihada. So this is the first part. One by habit. Then if the blood stops, and then for 15 days and more, blood came out again, there must be 15 days minimum purity. In order for us to ascertain that the second blood that comes is menses. How do we ascertain that? The purity must be 15 days minimum. Otherwise, it is linked to the first blood. It is not a new blood. So there must be 15 days and more. If in between there is 15 days or more, this is what it is mentioned by the author. If a minimum period of purity intervenes. Tamam? So if a minimum purity of a period and it intervenes, then we can say that the second blood that comes is another menses. It is a new menses. It is not any link any to the first menses. But the second blood when it comes, now she can distinguish the color of the blood. Different than the first one. If she can distinguish any the color of the blood, now for example, she saw blood only for another 20 days. Tamam? After the purity intervenes. She saw blood only for 20 days. So 5 days any black, 15 days red. Or 6 days black, 14 days any red. Now it is different any than the first menses. First menses and we say 5 days, right? Based on the habit. But the second, she can distinguish any the color any of the blood. She saw blood only for 7 days. The rest any is red. 7 days any black. The rest any is red. So do we say the menses is 5 days or 7 days? If you say the menses any is 5 days, meaning we go back to the habit. But now she can distinguish the number of blood. So earlier we mentioned that if there is a clash between habit and tamyiz, which one we give any precedence? We give any precedence to the tamyiz, the distinguishment of blood. So 7 days is the menses, not any 5 days. So the author is saying it is possible that 1 month we say that her menses based on the habit, another month the menses based on tamyiz. Because all of it goes back at the nature of the blood that comes out. Whether she can distinguish the blood or cannot distinguish the blood. And it is possible that the first month she cannot distinguish the blood, the second month she can distinguish the blood. So we go back to the perspective rulings. Ayo. Assalamu alaikum wa alaikum salam. And if menses of same color, red for 20 days. And able to remember habits during normal menses is 5 to 7 days only. And normal menses usually will feel any stomach cramp and itchiness. So will the istihada should start on the 5 or 7th day. And if during the istihada after the 7th day, still feel the stomach menses cramp habits until the 10th day. So purity starts after 5th or 7th or after the 10th day. Can we rule any stomach cramps habit during menses with regards to habit? With regard to menses, we always go back to habit and distinguishing the color of the blood. So this question what I can understand, woman usually having menses in 5 to 7 days. You see this question is not clear because at the end of the day you did not mention how many days the blood is spotted. Because at the end of the day, if a woman says that normally she saw blood in 7 days. 20 days of one. Menses of the same color rate for 20 days. Okay, now I understand. Of one. So now the situation is a woman saw blood for 20 days. And 20 days red in color. So we say this is mu'tada ghayr mumayyiza. This one falls under which it falls under number 3, right? Number 4 of one. Number 4. Case number 4. Mu'tada ghayr mumayyiza. Because she used to have any menses. And then she cannot differentiate the color of the blood. So we say she has to go back to her norm. She has to go back to her norm. So now her norm is how many days? 5 to 7 days. Sometimes 5 days. Sometimes 6 days. Sometimes 7 days. This is how I understand. 5 to 7 days. Okay, this one is a bit tricky, yeah? So which one? Which one did we take? So I will give an example. I will give an example. For example, the first month, her menses is 5 days. The second month, 6 days. Third month, 7 days. If this is the norm, for every 3 months, it is like that. 5, 6, 7. Then go back to 5 again. 5, 6, 7. Then goes back to 5, 6, 7. Now we know her norm. So now we can trace. For this month, she saw blood for 20 days. Last month, how many days menses? If she said that last month my menses is 7 days, now we take 5 days. Clear? Because her norm is 5 days. So we say the 5 days is menses. The rest is istihada. But now she said that normally she have this stomach cramp. Does we take this into consideration? We do not take stomach cramp into consideration. Because stomach cramp is not the criterion to ascertain whether it is menses or not. Menses. Because istihada also people have stomach stomach cramp. There can be what you call it, other reasons to it. But as far as menses is concerned, we go back to the norm. So I hope it is clear, inshallah. Okay, next question. No more. So by this, we stop our class. Inshallah, the next lesson, we will enter into the chapter of najasa. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin. Allahumma salli wa sallim ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala ali Sayyidina Muhammad. Rabbana atina fid dunya hasana wa fil akhirati hasana wa qina adhaban nar. Sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin. Taqabbalallahu minkum.